Action tonight to a Wave News troubleshooter investigation of how where you live in Louisville has a great deal to do with what you pay in auto insurance premiums. And John, you have a huge development in your story tonight.
It's starting to pick up steam, Myra. The Consumer Federation of America saw our first report and drafted and sent a 5-page letter this week to the Kentucky Department of Insurance requesting they take action. And prompted by our story, they've done more research that shows yet another example of why your auto insurance rate has less to do than you might imagine with your driving record or claim history. When Taquan Spencer Smith was shopping for car insurance, with all the other factors the same, and listed an East Louisville address, then his own West Louisville address, he was shocked at the difference.
It is appalling because it feels like we're making up for what they don't want to charge someone else.
We did the same kind of thing on a larger scale. We took the same family with the same driving record and the same 3 cars with the same coverage and had a licensed insurance agent give us auto insurance quotes when the only thing we changed was the family's address to put them in various zip codes around Louisville. Over in the East End, in places like 40223 and 40299, the yearly insurance cost is just over $3,000. In 40217, the Schnitzelburg area, it's just over $4,000. In the South End, 40272, $4,482. But in the West End, zip codes like 40210, 11, and 12, the yearly insurance costs were more than double the East End, ranging from $6,300 to $6,600 in zip codes with median household incomes ranging from $20,000 to $27,000 a year.
It's a very prime example of unfair discrimination. And that's why we're calling on the Kentucky Department of Insurance to, first off, investigate what's going on.
The Consumer Federation of America saw our report and sent this 5-page letter to the state insurance department urging an investigation of pricing practices. Researchers there, like Michael DeLong, took a longer look at Kentucky.
We've noted that as the percentage of Black consumers in a neighborhood goes up, unfortunately, so do the auto insurance premiums. So racism is pretty widespread.
In addition to what the CFA calls territorial price discrimination, it also found your credit history may have more to do with what you pay than your driving history.
We did our own analysis of some of the zip codes you mentioned, the West End and the East End.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we found that drivers in the West End with poor credit, in Kentucky, someone with a good driving record but poor credit is actually paying a higher premium on average than a Kentucky driver with excellent credit but a drunk driving conviction. That makes no sense. That's not accurate. It's un-American. It's harmful. And we think that auto insurers should stop trying to discriminate against poor consumers and actually charge people based on their driving records.
Look at the chart they included in their letter to the state insurance department. Whether you're in the East End or West End, the difference in auto insurance premiums between people with excellent credit versus poor credit is substantial. In the West End zip codes of 40210 and 12, it's 2.5 times more. What is the why? What have you guys been able to gather? Why do they do this?
We think auto insurers are using these factors, someone's neighborhood, zip code, credit history, as proxies for income and indirectly for race. They're discriminating against poorer consumers in order to try and give favors to the wealthier consumers that have more disposable income so they can buy additional policies.
While we couldn't get an answer from insurance companies, some agents have suggested the zip code disparity has to do with crime. Our analysis of LMPD crime data found a heavier proliferation of vehicle theft and vehicle break-ins in the West End.
Crime may play a role, but it's not enough, and it doesn't account for the very big premium increases that we've seen.
Their letter to the state insurance department says in their study of every zip code in America, CFA found that the Louisville core-based statistical area has the 3rd most severe disparities in auto insurance premiums between communities that are predominantly white and those that are predominantly black. And they cite a federal insurance office study that shows over 400,000 Kentucky residents live in 99 zip codes where auto insurance is unaffordable, including the West End communities described in the Wave 3 report.
The horrible thing about this is that the Kentucky is requiring people to purchase auto insurance, but the Kentucky Department isn't doing its job to make sure that this is affordable, and it needs to step up and do its job.
So on Monday, when that letter was sent, we requested an interview with the state insurance department about this, or a comment responding to that CFA letter. They said they would get back to us on it, and we haven't received a reply yet. We'll let you know what they say when we get it. If you have a problem or a concern that you think should be addressed by the Wave troubleshooters, visit wave3.com to submit a tip, and you can also scan the QR code you see there on the bottom left corner of your screen.
Still to come here.